Another win for Clemson this week as they take down Virginia 48-31. Kind of a strange game where the Tigers got off to a bit of a slow start, but then they took control of the game later. So they go into the bye week now, and we're going to look at some updated projections for this Clemson team, where they projected to finish at the end of the season. Who will they play in the postseason? I'll give you my updated predictions for the rest of the season as well. As we really haven't seen a lot of changes from last week, let's jump right into it, and we'll start with Athlon. So Athlon Sports has Clemson finishing ranked number 9, and they have them losing to Tennessee. So that means more than likely they've got them losing in the ACC championship game, possibly going 11-1 and then losing that game, or maybe 10-2 and losing that game. If they were to beat Tennessee, they would then go on to play Oregon in the Rose Bowl. So a tough matchup there if they get past Tennessee. And again, that's what Athlon is projecting. Next up, we go to CBS Sports. They are projecting Clemson to finish number 10. So they have them ranked number 10. Probably the same scenario, losing in the ACC championship, losing maybe one other game, or maybe running the table the rest of the regular season. So they would have to go on the road to play Penn State, obviously a tough place to play. And if they were to win that game, they also would have them playing in the Rose Bowl, but they would have them playing Ohio State. So CBS Sports projecting Ohio State to win the Big Ten. Again, Athlon projected Oregon to win the Big Ten. So again, it's, for Clemson, if they don't win the ACC, they're most likely going to be 8, 9, or 10. And that means if you win, you've got to play either the SEC or Big Ten champion. So it's very important for this Clemson team. If they want to go on a run, I believe it's very important for them to win the ACC championship. We go to 24/7 Sports. Now, they do have them winning the ACC championship, and they have them playing Ohio State. So you still got to play Ohio State, so maybe it doesn't even matter. But, they've got them playing the winner of Ohio State and Texas A&M. So they were projecting, Ohio State to not win the Big Ten. So that's interesting. Again, you would have to play Ohio State, but you wouldn't have to play them on the road, or you wouldn't have to play a road game in the first round. You would get that first round bye, so that's still an easier path. Again, you would still play Ohio State, but you play them in a bowl game there. So that's another scenario here. Again, 24/7 Sports giving them the win in the ACC championship. And then finally we go to the Action Network. They've got them ranked number 8, so they would host a playoff game in this scenario. They've got them playing LSU. But if they win, they then go to the Rose Bowl to play Oregon. So if you look at these projections, again, if you go to all 4 of them, they've either got them playing Ohio State or Oregon in their first matchup. So that's a very tough draw. Or not in their first matchup, but in the quarterfinal round. We'll put it that way. So not in the first round necessarily, but in the quarterfinals, they would play Ohio State or Oregon. Again, it's going to be important. I mean, if Clemson wants to go on a run, they've got to win the ACC championship, in my opinion, because I think the path is going to be too tough. Having to play potentially on the road at a Tennessee, or perhaps at a Penn State, or maybe even this flips around, they play LSU, something like that. Having to play on the road potentially in the first round, and then play an Ohio State or an Oregon or maybe a Georgia or a Texas, something like that. That's a very tough path. You want to be number 3, and then maybe you'll have a better matchup in those quarterfinals. So that's a look at some of the projections there, bowl projections for Clemson. The FBI, they've got a 10.2 and 2.5 record for this team. So again, that would include potentially the ACC championship. They've got them losing 2 or 3 games. Again, that does include that conference championship game. They're ranked number 13. That's actually down 2 spots from where they were last week. A 16.9 FBI means on a neutral field against an average team, they would win by 17 points. They give them right there at about a 14% chance of winning out. I think that's low. I think this team has a better chance. I'd probably put it closer to 40%. The schedule's going to get tougher. Of course, it is going to get tougher. And then again, you would have potentially Miami or SMU or Pitt in the ACC championship. So it's going to be tough for them to run the table. But I think they have a better chance than 14%. 70% chance to make the conference championship game. Of course, they win out, they'll be in there. Well, not necessarily, because it'll come down to a tiebreaker if we see Clemson, SMU, and Miami all tied and they all go undefeated, which could happen. I haven't looked at the tiebreaker scenarios yet, but that would be very interesting to see who gets in that scenario. Winning the ACC, a 28.5% chance, but look at their chances to make the playoff, 40.3%. And again, 3 of those 4 projections had them in the playoff, and all the projections did have them in the playoff, but 3 of the 4 did not have them winning the ACC. So Clemson, if they run the table and go 11-1 and then lose in the ACC championship, they will be in the playoff. If they lose a game and they go 10-2 and then lose in the ACC championship, I don't know. They might still get in, they might not. It's going to be very interesting to see how the committee deals with these conference championship losses for teams that lose their conference championship. Will they drop them or will they keep them in the same spot? I don't think teams should be penalized. If a team makes their conference championship and they lose, I don't think they should then fall below a team that did not make their conference championship. So yeah, I don't know how the committee's going to view that, but that's my personal take. Making the national championship game, a 5.8% chance of doing that. Winning it all, 2.5%. So there's a chance that Clemson could win the national championship according to the FBI. Again, not a very high percentage, but not many teams really have a very high percentage chance there. All right, so these are my preseason predictions. Again, I had Clemson losing to Georgia in the opener, winning the rest of their games, and then I had them losing to Miami in the ACC championship game. So you look at where they're at now, and you look what is in front of them after the bye week: Louisville, at Virginia Tech, at Pittsburgh, and then they close things out with South Carolina, the Citadel in between there. This is tough. I mean, other than Georgia, you're looking at probably their 4 toughest games. They've still got to play. Louisville's a good team. They do get them at home. That'll help. But this is a good Louisville team. Virginia Tech is not bad, and they've shown, and especially you go back to the Vanderbilt game, and everyone thought Virginia Tech was terrible, and then it turns out Vanderbilt's actually pretty good. This is a pretty good Virginia Tech team, and that's a very tough place to play. Pitt's a solid team. They're undefeated. Not necessarily a tough place to play, but that will be a tough game there. And then South Carolina is so up and down, we don't really know what to expect from them. So, I don't feel as confident now as I did a few weeks ago. Again, with Virginia Tech playing better, Pittsburgh looking good, Louisville is kind of what I expected. I don't think Clemson loses that game, especially because they're playing at home coming off of a bye week. But Virginia Tech and Pitt are going to be tough. And then South Carolina, really a wild card. I don't know what to expect from them. So I don't feel as confident about them winning the rest of these games, but I'm still going to pick it. So I have not changed my prediction. I'm sticking with Clemson going 11-1. And again, I had them preseason losing to Miami in the ACC championship. As of right now, I'm sticking with that prediction. I think Clemson has played better than Miami so far this season. But I think with Cam Ward, Miami has just a little bit more potential. And I think in that matchup, Miami gets the win. So I'm sticking with that prediction as of right now. Again, I think Clemson has looked like the better team, but the better team does not always win. And again, in that matchup, I like Miami to get the win. I do think Miami is going to slip up and lose somewhere in the regular season. But again, when it comes down to that one, I'm going to go with the Hurricanes. So I've got Clemson making the playoff, going 11-1, losing in the ACC championship, the same exact prediction that I had in the preseason. So really nothing has changed for me with this Clemson team. But those, again, are the updated projections for the Clemson Tigers as they head into the bye week.